Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Silver the Hedgehog here, and I am back for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games DS version, and welcome to day 17, or should I say, the final day of Paris Olympics 2024. So I can't even believe about the fact that the entire Paris Olympic Games is almost going to be finished until then. So either way though, that seems rather quick and all that stuff. So, yesterday we did somehow manage able to finish up every single aspect in terms of Master's Class by going into the final circuit on the DS version of Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games by going into Big Bang Circuit, and all in all, we've once again claimed ourselves our glorious trophy. Mind you about the fact that in terms of events though, we somehow did pretty well on 3 events most likely, which there are Dream Canoe, Dream Long Jump, as well as Dream Race, and we somehow claimed first place all in all. However, when it comes to Dream Boxing, as well as Dream Basketball, not so much. Like for instance, in Dream Boxing, we were so close to claim first place, but that's what you expect when it comes to dealing with aggressive computer players, specifically in the finals in Dream Boxing. But I suppose beggars can't be choosers. And as far as Dream Basketball, as far as I'm concerned, we did that particular event pretty poorly, especially concerning for the fact that I keep on missing several shots. So, yeah, apart from those side things though, we still claim the trophy regardless. So today, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be the true finale of our Let's Play of Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games DS version, and once again, much like the forms of how it does on the Wii version, we are tackling through 3 circuits. So basically though, what this is though, is that you can able to customize your very own circuits, and as a result, it doesn't matter what specific events you might as well choose. Like for instance, if we go ahead and select up to like twice the amount of 100 meters in a row, or much more really. So, however though, just like on the Wii version, you can only select up to 3 or 4 or 5 events to compete. And as far as I'm aware, unlike the Wii version, you do have 3 selections of choices. Like for instance, there are certain events you can select for the sake of the forms of free 4 circuit, and some events are usually just for the sake of the fact that there's also free 8 circuit, where basically though, free 8 circuit is basically 8 players are competing, and as far as free 4 circuit is that obviously though it only selects 4 players to compete for the entire circuit, at least as far as I can usually tell for this point. And finally, there's also the random circuit, where if you press the random circuit, obviously though, the event selections will be randomly selected for you. So as a result, yeah, nothing else I can really say about this, I guess. So either way, and I suppose that's perfect for me for this particular selection, despite the fact that we're going to be going back into Archery again. For, presumably speaking, I was about the fact, I think, if I recall correctly though, this is technically the 5th time we can able to actually go into Archery as a result, because the last time we played Archery was back in Universal Circuit. So either way, in terms of the final character selection, as far as I'm aware, mind you about the fact that we've played every single character, aside from the fact that, as I mentioned this before, there's no Mii's in this version of the game, so I figure we might also play as Shadow for the 2nd time on the DS version, because after all, the year of Shadow continues, so to be expected because he was fearless after all. So anyway, and also he's the ultimate life form, as to be expected at this point. So anyway, so let's begin with the first event on free circuit, despite the fact that it was randomly selected by me. So as a result, we're going on to a dream event this time around from the very start of this particular circuit. And as a result, we're going into dream fencing. So because of that though, hopefully though, we can able to actually claim first place, just like the forms of how it does it since in Universal Circuit after all. So anyway, a few things I want to talk about is about the fact that, well, as I mentioned this before, is about the fact that today is the final day of the Paris Olympics 2024. Not only for the fact that we can able to see the last few events before the closing ceremony is about to be begun. So despite the fact that no matter what though, I unfortunately though, I was expected to try able to mention about the forms of the final results of the medal count, but I suppose we'll let someplace else we'll mention more about it during at some point in the next few Let's Plays to come. So either way, because you probably already know about the fact that today's day is of course here is the 11th of August today, in some cases in 2024 today. So, yeah, I just want to classify for mentioning about that. So, anyway, talking of which though actually, is about the fact that we actually got ourselves a bunch of news I would like to discuss upon, thanks to the forms of how the fact that recently yesterday, or specifically in Friday night, depending on the time zone or something like that, basically though, we get ourselves a bunch of announcements thanks to the forms of D23, which stands for a bunch of Disney announcements in regards of not only movies, but as well as certain series as well. So because of that though, maybe I'll try to mention more about that and join at some point in later on in this video, because for now, there are some other discussions I would like to point things out. Is that, speaking of Shadow the Hedgehog though, is about the fact I've realized that recently though is about the fact that we got ourselves another OST has been released for the sake of Sonic Cross Shadow Generations, and this time what appears to be based off from Space Colony Arc Act 1. So as a result, not only does it show us the forms of this very cool artwork showing about the fact that not only that Shadow got his wings, but it's also about the fact that with this very interesting reddish kind of tone to it. So yeah, that's actually pretty cool. And there's also another thing I want to point things out, by the way, is that unfortunately though, there are some bad news as well as good news at the same time. So as a result, let's get on with the bad news out of the way first, in regards to the forms of Sonic Generations related. So, for instance, it's about the fact that before I found out on the X account, basically though, it's about the fact that Sonic the Hedgehog X Twitter account did state this: "We were excited to share Sonic Cross Shadow Generations with you this October and see a new generation cherish this game as much as we do. And until specifically the 9th of September, that the original Sonic Generations will be removed as a standalone title, but we hear your feedback and want to help preserve the game." So yeah, this means about the fact that unfortunately though, the standalone version of Sonic Generations will be delisted during at some point on the 9th of September on PC Steam. So that's definitely not a good sign. But luckily though, that they also stated this for that particular tweet. They did say about the fact that they're saying that therefore, Sonic Generations will still be available via bundles of other iconic Sonic titles on Steam and Xbox. Existing owners of the title will still be able to download and play as well. Lastly, we are happy to confirm that mods on the Steam version will not be affected. So yeah, that's actually pretty good, especially considering for the fact that I know a lot of people worked on a lot of mods throughout the years for Sonic Generations, which is pretty impressive back in June forms of in 2012 and onwards. So it's been likely or so for 12 years ago since how the fact that Sonic Generations PC mods became a lot more popular these days. So yeah, that's actually pretty swell. Although, kind of thinking about it though, is about the fact that there's also another thing worth mentioning for actually, is about the fact that we actually got ourselves the most recent update for that particular highest grossing films of 2024 so far. Like, for instance, is about the fact that Inside Out 2 is still on top right now, and meanwhile when it comes to second place, that basically Deadpool and Wolverine are now in the second place. And meanwhile, when it comes to third place, it was obviously Despicable Me 4. And meanwhile, when it comes to 9th place, that Bad Boys Ride or Die is now in 9th place. And as far as I'm aware, unlike certain other films, like for instance, Dune Part 2 is now in 4th place. And Godzilla x Kong The New Empire is now in 5th place. And on top of that, Kung Fu Panda 4 is now in 6th place. And 7th place goes to Yo Yo. I think it's what it says anyway. And of course, 8th place is now goes to Pegasus 2. And finally, 10th place goes to Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. So, yeah, I guess that's what I can really think about this, I guess. So, anyways, let's get into the forms of certain announcements they did bring, thanks to the forms of D23. So, for instance, the first thing they want to announce, and that's what appears to be some more movie sequels. So, as a result, not only does it show us a first look on Toy Story 5, as well as there's the forms of Frozen 3, and on top of that, there's also Zootopia 2, which fundamentally speaking, though, I'm very excited about the films of how Zootopia 2 is going to turn out to be. So I'm sure none of those about the fact that we'll have to wait on that until next year in 2025, at least where it says anyway. But on the positive side of things, though, we actually got ourselves yet another new trailer for Moana 2, and let me tell you, I'm also very excited about that as well, especially concerning for the fact that it's been about, you know, almost like 8 years ago since the first one came out, so as to be expected at this point. And as far as I'm aware, there's also going to bring us into yet another movie sequel that's going to be on its way until specifically God knows when, and that's what appears to be out of nowhere. We're about to be getting Incredibles 3. So yeah, that honestly caught me off guard at one point, especially concerning about the fact that we've already got ourselves Incredibles 2 back in 2018, so it's like roughly about let's just say 6 years ago right now. So yeah, you probably get the idea about that. So and also, as far as I'm aware, is about the fact that they also shown us some, I will admit though, some pretty pointless announcements they somehow brings us into. Like, for instance, they brings us a new teaser trailer, or should I say a brand new trailers of not only Mufasa the Lion King, but there's also Snow White live action movie as well. So yeah, I'm not too surprised about these movies are definitely coming. But there's also another film has been revealed for D23. That's of course Lilo and Stitch live action movie, and I'm not too sure about the fact that I was going to be hyped for that one, especially concerning about the fact that, like I said before, I'm still basically give up watching those live action Disney movies after all, because I'm just basically just done with them, not only because of how the fact that they messed up with our nostalgia, but it's also about the fact that it gets a lot more stale. So because of that though, to be expected when it comes to like fan services alike. But regardless of anything else though, what I've also found out that originally though, that Lilo and Stitch live action movie was originally going to be released in June at some point in this year in 2024, but it somehow got pushed back until 2025. So because of that though, another one of those examples includes Frozen 3. That originally though, Frozen 3 was originally going to be releasing at some point in 2026, but it's now been pushed back until 2027. So because of that though, yeah, that's going to be a 3-year wait for Frozen 3. Well, despite the fact that I'm still pretty much gonna have to stick around with the first film any day, well, that's just mainly because no matter what though, don't get me wrong, I found the second one alright, but I have a little bit mixed feelings about the films of how the fact that how Frozen 3 is gonna turn out to be. But luckily though, we actually got ourselves some even more new announcements they somehow brings us into. Like for instance, the next Pixar movie is going to be on its way, also in the films of in 2026, along the same year as the films of how it does it for Toy Story 5, by the way. That film is actually going to be called Hoppers, which is more likely like a beaver kind of like movie or something like that. Mind you, I haven't exactly get any further details about the films of that particular film, by the way. But that's just mainly because I'm still basically excited for Zootopia 2, but that's just mainly because I'm still basically excited for it. So, anyways though, and on the subject when it comes to excitement, is that I also found out that Inside Out series, known as Dream Productions, is actually in the works, and it's going to be coming out exclusively to Disney Plus, as far as I'm usually concerned. That basically though, I believe is about to due out at some point on 2025, so it makes sense to able to mark the 10th anniversary of the original Inside Out film. So it makes sense to able to actually have Dream Productions is actually going to be in the works. So yeah, pretty cool though. And also, as far as I'm aware, that the third Avatar movie has recently got its own title, which appears to be Avatar: Fire and Ash. So, what's this? Like an elemental kind of stories or something like that? I mean, for instance, the first one didn't actually got the title though, but I do know the second one does shows the title, which appears to be The Way of Water. So now we're going to be expected to stumble across into ourselves Fire and Ash, meaning about the fact that it's going to be fire element. I mean, what's next? Like Thunder Guards or something like that? Or potentially speaking of Earth or anything else like that? I'm definitely telling you right from the start though, they get out of their way to able to actually go through titles based off from elements. So, at least as far as I'm concerned. So, either way, I guess there's nothing else I can really say about this, I guess. So, on top of all that stuff, though, is about the fact that I think that fundamentally speaking, though, is about the fact that yes, indeed, I did manage to able to finally get a chance to able to actually unlock the next cosmetic character in Sonic Dash recently. And actually, as it turns out, I finally managed to get myself Karate Knuckles. So because of that, though, and thank goodness, it's about the fact that unlike the forms of how it does it on the past few events I somehow stumbled across into, that thankfully though, it actually allows me to able to actually collect specific amount of character cards and one specific character at a time. So for instance, it's about the fact that I'm still in the middle of the process when it comes to trying to leveling up Karate Knuckles on my spare own time, and whenever I keep on collecting all of those character cards, they are all Karate Knuckles rather than just anyone else. So because of that though, thank goodness the unlockable methods when it comes to certain events is actually a lot more easier and manageable this time around, so I'm very appreciative about that. So anyways though, and as far as I'm aware, is about the fact that there's also another thing worth mentioning for actually, is that I do suppose that there's going to be a next DreamWorks movie is going to be on its way in also in 2027 as far as I'm aware. That, you know, that's going to be around the same year as when Frozen 3 is going to be on its way. And apparently though, what I've found out is that Ruby Gelman, you know, with the forms of Teenage Kraken movie, well, I think it's getting a sequel or something like that. Well, mind you, I haven't exactly got my thoughts about it just yet though, but that's just mainly because we're still in 2024 after all. So, anyways though, so let's move on now to the final event on free circuit mode. Now, it's of course, cycling. So because of that though, hopefully we should able to actually become the #1 again. Mind you about the fact that if you do manage to able to be completely done with free circuit mode, obviously though, just like the Wii version, you don't get a trophy if you manage to claim first place on free circuit. It's just there for the sake of bragging rights, I guess. So either way, that's besides the point. So, and what's my final thoughts about the forms of watching the Paris Olympics 2024 as far as what I did manage to experience in watching it? Well, I do enjoy it for what it is. I mean, for the most part though, I did manage to able to watch every single event in action, and let me tell you, I did have a blast experiencing watching the forms of the actual Olympics itself, especially concerning for the fact that hopefully by that time until 4 years time though, that basically though the next Summer Olympics is going to take place in Los Angeles, in United States of America. So because of that though, yeah, that should be pretty exciting. And as far as the next Olympic things I was going to be hoping to watch at some point, next up is of course 2026 Winter Olympics, and that's going to take place in Italy. So either way though, I suppose that's as far as I can usually try to say about that, I guess. So, anyways though, and meanwhile, I unfortunately going back onto Mario Kart Tour again, and this time I managed to get myself my next Mii Racing suit, and that's what appears to be Windy Mii Racing suit. So just to ensure I'm almost catching up to exactly 200 characters I did somehow unlocked in Mario Kart Tour, just before if Nintendo decides they're able to actually shut down the services for Mario Kart Tour or something. Well, we still have no idea at this point just yet though, but that's just mainly because no matter what though. Oh, I suppose the final thing I want to mention about this for this point today, that I recently managed able to realize that I've almost feeling a bit better, and luckily though, I've now got negative COVID test now, so because of that though, I'm feeling very, very much more happier than I thought it was. Unlike in yesterday though, that it just feels a bit all over the place when it comes to my behavior and all that stuff, despite the fact that my voice still sounds a bit off again. But at least it's getting a little bit more better this time around, as opposed to the forms of how it does it in not only the past few days, but also since in yesterday, as you probably already noticed. So, and there you go folks, that pretty much does it for free circuit. Even though that we claimed second place on Archery, that's just mainly because I did somehow realize about the fact that the wind might seem able to get a lot stronger. But regardless of anything else though, that's all there is to really think about it. when it comes to free circuit mode. So that was it, folks. That was the entire free circuit for the DS version, like I said before, and that pretty much does it for the entire Let's Play of Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games DS version. Again, if you want me to tackle for more of this game, then be sure to actually say in the comments down below if you want me to tackle for mission mode in either on the Wii version and the DS version simultaneously, because, well, if you want to do that, by all means you can able to do that. So either way, I hope you guys do enjoy this particular Let's Play of Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games DS version. Sure, it's a bit more fun, especially considering about the fact I've noticed that a lot of people seem to really enjoy that particular playthrough so far, which, gee, no wonder why we're going to be getting so many views for the entire Let's Play of this game. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and this is me, Silver the Hedgehog, from the likes of the Maxi Toys. And until then, tune us next time until specifically sometime in 2026 or something, we can probably do Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games DS version throughout in 2026. So I'll see you guys at some point soon. Bye!